Hey there, this is B again. This is chapter 9 of my new book, Falling in Love with Yourself. And I'm going to try to attempt to explain something. I have no idea why I did this, but in chapter 9, I guess I'm always led by the Spirit or my heart, and I write as I go. But what I did in this chapter was the name of the chapter is You Manifest What You Believe, what you deeply believe. And unfortunately, it would be very easy to think, well, I really love myself. My self-esteem is good. But if your life does not model it, that's not really what you believe about yourself deeply. So we live from our subconscious mind. What we deeply believe drives our life. So we're gonna do this a lot more and in depth. But the main lie, I wanna start this week with discovering the biggest lie that you believe about yourself, which is gonna have make a huge difference faster when we learn the biggest lesson that we need to learn. So in this chapter, for whatever reason, I describe my life, and you don't need to know these in this video. In my book, it's not step by step, but it describes my life of how I ended up being with low self-esteem and things. But the point was that what I want you to do in this chapter is to look at the repetitive situations in your life. For me, it was my parents, and then my ex-husband, and then my children, a few of my relationships with my friends. Same thing over and over, different people, different same circumstance. It's a repetitive issue. I wanted them to love me. I wanted them to approve of me. So very, very repetitive. So I wanted to go in this chapter to heal that main thing that's been driving my entire life. And then there's a lot of tiny millions of lies that I still believe about myself. But the main one was that I never felt loved or approved or that I was good enough, and I repeated it. It's been said by psychologists that we tend to repeat over and over the circumstances until we'll learn. So unfortunately, it took me 5 decades to learn what I needed to learn. But in reality, for me, the main thing was around my 40s, I finally realized, well, my mom's never going to approve. She's really never going to change. Although at my 50s, I was still trying to change her. And then I took some other decisions, and I realized, and this was just recently, I realized that everything I've been needing, I could only give to myself. I could not change my mom. I could not change my ex-husband for 20 years. I could not change my children now. They're adults now. I cannot change anyone, but I can change me. And I am still at my 50s living with all unmet needs. And then the manifestation of my life models it. So what I'm trying to say is I want you this week to sit down and label or 0 to 10 your relationships. Your relationships model your own self-esteem. So I want you to consciously know what's driving all your relationships or whatever repetitive situation you have in your life, because it's like, oh, I hate my job, and then it happens to be that we switch jobs, and then, oh, I hate my job, and then we get fired and something, oh, I hate my job. It's you, it's not the job. You might not be in the area of what you were meant to be. You might not be doing what you wanted to do. Maybe somebody at younger age pushed you to go to school to do certain things. I don't know, but it's repetitive, and it will not change until you change. So we cannot blame others. We cannot blame the past. We cannot blame circumstances. We cannot blame anyone. It's us. It's us who are going to have to change if we want to stop, first of all, that repetitive situation that, it's making us miserable. But this week is a huge one. I want you to sit down and label all your relationships and take a look at your own self-esteem. I want you to look at your life. What's repetitive? What is it trying to teach you? I want you to look at, am I still the victim? Am I still walking in the victim mentality that I cannot change things? Because first of all, it's a lie. And what are your options? Go back to school, change jobs, change careers. Yeah, you're 50, so what? So what? Or are you willing to live like this, for another decade? I don't know. Your relationships, you tend to be attracted to abusive men. Well, if you don't leave at the first red flag, then it's you. I'm sorry, but if it's repetitive, it's because you're doing something wrong. You're attracting the wrong kind of man. Whatever it is. But it's basically, I was asked today from one of my students, I think I've mentioned I'm a high school teacher. Now, the students, what do you think about cheating? And I said, you mean in relationships? And he said, yes. And I said, no second chances, period. My opinion. I mean, I know that somebody has done other things. I don't know. My point is, until you change, nothing's going to change. And then if it's not this man cheating on you, then it's going to be somebody else. And, it's the thought of, do I feel good enough? Do I feel worthy enough? Because if you feel good enough, you don't take disrespect. It's you who set the stage for your relationships. Does that make sense? So we can blame others, but it's really you. Are you taking disrespect? Are you disrespecting yourself? Are you, do you even feel worthy of a good relationship, of a good man, so it's you. What I'm trying to say, first of all, I want you to look at the repetitive situations that you don't like in your life. What's the belief system behind it? What happened to you? And your options. If your emotional needs were not met, like in my case, this is the week where we're going to start meeting our own needs. I am going to start approving of myself. I am going to start loving myself. I am going to start, being the best supporter. Because when your needs are met, you're a whole individual, is what I call autonomy. And to me, that's the biggest blessing on earth. I'm not saying you don't need other relationships, but yes, maybe I'm saying you don't need other relationships. You want them. And they're a blessing in your life. But once you're whole and once you meet your emotional needs, you get attracted to all different personalities out there. And somebody tries to use you and you're like, no, red flag, no, one, gone. Does that make sense? So nothing's going to change until you change your own thinking, until you change your own belief system about yourself, about your worth, about what you believe. So that's what I have for this week. I know the video is kind of short, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And I know I went deep in this chapter because from here we're going to jump to so many other areas, but we cannot move on if you still have certain areas of repetitive situations and you're not even looking at them and you're not even taking full responsibility for them. Yes, some people might have unfortunate circumstances growing up, and we cannot change that. But with what was done to us, we're going to come victorious, and we're going to go to the other side of the coin, and we're going to be able to help others, and you're going to be victorious, and it is possible. I happen to believe that the only way to really change our thinking, our subconscious mind, our deep beliefs is through meditation. And I've been trying to teach you this. This is week 9. It shouldn't come hard. And I think one of the main things, at least for me, is just the breathing. First of all, and relaxing your face. How many of us are like all day long? So, don't chew on my belt. No, sorry about that. So, here's the queen of my heart. And then, just we need to really take full responsibility and do what we need to do. Well, thank you so much, and have a great week. And this is week 9. So see you on week 10. Bye-bye.